Hello and welcome to the Very Wool Podcast. My name is Diana Hawthorne. You can find me online as Delaware Spinster, and this is a special episode. I'm really pretty much just going to talk about my Maryland sheep and wool experience and the things that I got there. So this is a little bit of a haul episode. I got a fair number of things at Maryland Sheep and Wool. If you are not into that kind of thing, feel free to skip this one. I get that. I have no finished objects that you're going to miss out on if you don't watch this video. So if you just want to skip this podcast, I'll have a regular one next week. But if you're interested in talking about Maryland sheep and wool, I just got back and I'm really excited about some of the stuff that I was able to get. So as for the regular podcast stuff, again, I have no finished objects this week. It was a busy week, but it was not a busy week in terms of my knitting or progress that I made. I'm so close to finished my night shift. That's my predominant whip that I'm working on right now, but I'm not finished yet. So I don't have that to share yet. I'm not even wearing anything that special. This is, it is me made, you know, it's May and I generally wear things that I made, but this is just a sweater that I sewed. It's not a hand knit or anything all that special. It just was a self-drafted design. And so anyway, and I spilled on it too, like I normally do. So it's got like some nice stains on it. So it's not worth really showing you. So anyway, let's just talk about acquisitions because that's what today is all about. So I had a great time at Maryland Sheep and Wool. I did do some shopping on Saturday morning, but I also volunteered in the Fleece show. And this is my second year doing that. I had a great time with that. It is a really busy, crazy, intense experience being in the fleece tent, but I think it was a really good experience for me as well. So if I saw you there, I hope that I helped you or that you got the fleece that you wanted. There were so many fabulous fleeces, like 1,000 fleeces at this event. And even when I was leaving Sunday afternoon, there were still some really awesome fleeces to be sold. So yeah, I absolutely had a great time. And one of the things that I did get, of course, was a fleece. And I have not processed the whole thing. How could I have done that? But when I got home, I processed just a little bit, a few locks of this Romney fleece. So I just went ahead and hand washed a few locks and like did a quick dry of them. And you can just see, I mean, it is brilliant white. This fleece was so clean, so beautiful. And I'm just really happy with it. It's so soft. It was from a ewe named Lana, which means wool, and I just thought like it was absolutely beautiful. I had to get it. I'll put some more details in the description box because I don't have the bag with me. Most of the fleece, aside from this lock, is still raw wool. So I don't bring that upstairs, or I leave dirty fleeces in one spot in my house and I clean them as soon as I possibly can. I don't like to attract any types of insects or anything. That's like, a wool lover's biggest nightmare. So anyway, this Romney fleece, I just had to have it, even though it was not what I set out to get. I kept coming back to it and I really loved it. And a friend said at the end, like, why don't you split it with me? Like, don't walk away without a fleece. So we split this fleece and I'm so excited now to be able to spin it. But until then, I just have a lot of cleaning ahead of me with the fleece. So I also got some fiber for spinning and some yarns. One of the dyers that I really like is Kim Dyes Yarn. I visited her booth last year. My local yarn store that has closed carried her stuff too. So I have a few projects already. In fact, I have a few whips that I should be working on with her stuff, but I couldn't resist buying more anyway. So I got one of her colorways, her show colorways called Bunch of Zinnias in her Polwarth silk. I love spinning her Polvar silk top. I mean, look at that. It's just beautiful colors. I actually am going to blend this into a bigger project that I have going. So I was looking for something that was, you know, pink and orange and purple and, you know, some variation like that. And this is just perfect. So I'm very excited about that one. But I got two others. I think they are, oh no, this one's Rambouillet silk, which is absolutely beautiful. This is another one of her colorways, Moody Forest. It feels just as fine as the Polworth silk. It's absolutely beautiful. I think you're getting a pretty good representation of it on screen. It might be a little bit warmer than what you're seeing, but it's got these rich, look at these browns. Oh my goodness. It's just beautiful. This is probably going to go into this Moody shawl combo spin I'm doing. And then, oh God, I couldn't resist this one either. This is called Mushroom Hunting. And this one is BFL Tussa Silk. Look at this. Mushroom Hunting. Oh. Just absolutely beautiful. So actually these would be, any of them would be lovely together. So there's a tiny part of me that wants to just spin them together, but I technically was planning for this one. I have no plan. I just couldn't resist it. I'll come up with something. This one I was thinking would go into a Moody, like traveler shawl maybe. I have some Inglenook fibers that would look good with this. I have some fleece I cleaned from last year that's like a deep brown, really, really fine Corriedale cross. So that might go with it. And then this is going to go in with sort of like Barbie themed spin that I've been working on. I think that's what I'm going to do with this. But anyway, it's all lovely. It's all just unbelievably soft. And her fibers that I've gotten before just open up so well. They're just perfect. I just really enjoy spinning her fibers. So I also got some of her yarn. In that same Mushroom Hunting colorway, I got her Streusel, which is her boucle yarn, and it's like a silk merino boucle fingering weight yarn, just fantastically soft. These are definitely my kind of colors. I have not 100% decided what I'm doing with this, but I intentionally just got one skein. And this was something that I thought about last year, getting her Streusel Boucle because it's so lovely. But then I wasn't sure. I wanted to dive into Intarsia, and I think in the next year I'm going to. So I got this with the thought that there are a couple of lovely sweater patterns I've seen that are like a mohair, you know, a lace mohair silk yarn, and then have bits of other textures. So, so I'm thinking I have the pattern from a pom-pom issue for a sweater called a cardigan called Leonora by Pope Vergara. And I think this could go with a couple different mohair silk options that I have in a sweater's quantity. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's going to be one of the accents for that. But I'm not positive yet. I'm open to other things until I cast on. Okay, and then the last of the Kim Dyes yarn. I really went nuts at Kim Dyes yarn, but again, I love her stuff. It's just such high quality, and the dyeing is so different from how I dye, so it makes me happy. I like to support her because she's just very cool. This is Moody Forest. Again, one of the colors that I got on, I guess the Rambouillet silk, I think was the Moody Forest. I got 4 skeins. One is already getting, it's already in a cake downstairs because I'm going to start swatching it. This is her new Smoothie yarn, Smoothie fingering. It is 65% silk, 35% linen, so super drapey. She had a shirt, a knit top in this, not this colorway, but in this new yarn. That was a model at her booth, and I got to touch that, and it was so soft, just like the yarn is. It was so drapey, it was so beautiful, And she posted pictures of it on Instagram too, so I knew I was going in for this. It's just, oh, that sheen is lovely. It's almost like a velveteen feeling to it. I don't know, somehow the silk and the linen, I don't know. I think this is going to be beautiful for me in terms of the colors. I'm really trying to stick to that. And I have a few thoughts for this. My main thought is to make a Wishes cardigan by Hoey Locatelli. Again, a pattern that I own and that I've been looking for the perfect yarn for. I got enough to make it in my size, but it's a little bit of a stretch since this is a lighter fingering, and that has a more open gauge to achieve that drape, and it is a pattern that was designed in a slightly thicker fingering weight yarn than this. So I'm swatching it first. I'm going to get a nice big swatch and see if I like the way this yarn looks on a 3.5 or a US 4 needle. Kim recommends here a US needle 1 to 3. So a 3.5 millimeter is a 4 and might be pushing it a little bit. I'm going to see how it looks. What matters is if I like the fabric. Now, if I don't feel like this works well enough for that, there are plenty of other tops. I would think of maybe a like 3/4 length sleeve top that is nice and drapey. I have so many patterns for fingering weight yarn for things that I want to add to my wardrobe. So I'm hoping this is going to work for the Wishes cardigan. But if it doesn't, then I have another plan for it. So anyway, I just love this. I just think it's the most beautiful thing. I am so excited about all of those things. And if you're hearing anything annoying, it's the rustling of the bag where I'm putting the stuff that I already showed you. So I have other yarn, but I'm going to save my other yarn for a little bit later and show you a couple of other things that I got. So one of the things I definitely wanted to get was I went to the WeeOnes booth. I love WeeOnes too. And I get a lot of her stitch markers, and I had to get the special Maryland sheep and wool one. And let's see if you can see this well here. So it's a little dog, and it's holding a crab for Maryland. Hopefully you can see that. It's precious. It's got a tiny little tail, and it's wearing little rain boots, which is appropriate because Maryland sheep and wool this year was just pouring rain, basically. So it got super muddy. I had to wear my boots, and this little doggie's wearing its boots, and it's just the most precious thing. So, so this one is one of those stitch markers that's a closed loop. I mostly have her lobster clasp ones, which work great for like progress keepers for me. But this one will be more of a marker of an increase or decrease or something like that. I don't know. It's precious. I'm going to use it however. Yeah. So that was my only accessory that I got from WeeOnes. I got a few soaps and some honey and some things like that from the Lion Potter. I just love this. This is the Summer Rose soap from Lion Potter. And I just had to get their tent outside. It was just like pouring rain. It looked pretty miserable when I was there, but their stuff smelled so good. And I love getting local honeys, so I got some of that. I got some soaps. I did splurge and get one felted soap. And guys, I'm really excited. I've actually never tried a felted soap. I understand the concept. I think it's really beautiful. And I've always looked at them and then been like, oh, it costs so much more. And you know what? This is one of those events where for most of the year I don't shop all that much, but this is the only Sheep and Wool Festival I think I'm going to this year. It's my first time going to one in a year. I haven't gone since last in 2023 Maryland Sheep and Wool. So it is an opportunity to support local businesses, and they are somewhat local to me. They're from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and they just had the most beautiful stuff. So They highly recommended the pumpkin butter, so I got some of the, I love pumpkin butter, so I got some of the pumpkin butter. My favorite, I'm a big tea drinker, and I love having just a little bit of honey in my tea. I love local honeys, and they had buckwheat honey, and buckwheat is, I mean, I like strong flavors, so it's one of my preferred. I just love buckwheat honey, so I had to get a big thing of it. And it's a little, yeah, you can still see it pretty well. Their honeys and stuff were like under the, just getting rained on. It was just all wet. And so I also I felt so bad for them, you know, being there and hoping that they still did a good business. There were a ton of people still shopping at Maryland Sheep and Wool. So hopefully everybody, all the vendors did well, because I know it's so stressful to set up as a vendor and then have an event like this be so rainy, and especially when they were for the Lion Potter and for a lot of the people who were vending from tents. That's harder than being in the main exhibition hall in the building, I imagine. I don't know, I'm not a vendor. But anyway, I was really excited to get some honey and to get some soaps, and I'm excited to try my felted soap. So, very exciting. I may share some of the soaps that I got with my family, but not the felted soap. That one's for me. The other vendor that I really like, that I learned about last year in terms of food stuff, is Just a Mere Tree Farm. And they're maple. Everything is maple. So I had to get my favorite thing, their maple cream. It is fantastic. They're from New York, I want to say. Nope, Worthington, Massachusetts. Okay, I was way off. So anyway, they're from Worthington, Massachusetts. So this maple cream, it's literally pure maple syrup that's just been whipped up into a cream. And it's fantastic. I absolutely love this. You can spread it on a little bit of toast. You can mix it into a fancy latte occasionally. That's what I do. But like, if we're being realistic, you know, a little bit on a teaspoon just in your mouth is frankly the best way to eat it. It's just fantastic. So that's a special treat, and I wanted to try their maple hot cocoa. So I got their maple hot cocoa. They were so nice. It was actually the first place that I went because they're in the main exhibition hall, and I was on my way to the Daedalus booth, and I know how much I like their maple cream. So when I saw them there, I was like, you know what? Before it gets too busy, I'm just going to go ahead and get my maple cream. I had a definite plan for this shopping, and believe it or not, this is all the stuff that I planned to get. This is basically, I knew I wanted to get Kim Dye's yarn. I knew I wanted to get a sweater quantity of her new Smoothie. I had planned on some soaps because I'm getting low on soap. You know, I planned on a fleece, and yeah, so I think I'm not going to say I was reasonable. It's not reasonable for everybody, but it was what I wanted to do. You know, it's how I choose to spend my money. So anyway, one thing I got that was actually a splurge, that was not planned, and this is like wrapping up the sort of food and housewares section. There was a booth from Good Time, and they had coffees and teas that have different mushrooms. So lion's mane, reishi, and cordyceps, which are all types of mushrooms that people forage for. And this has like a hibiscus, their loose leaf hibiscus herbal tea. I have not yet opened it, but I'm sure it's going to be great. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to try this, and yeah, that's okay. So we're getting to a point, I've just got a few more things to share. So full disclosure, I am not, I don't have this to like hold up and share with you. I did get a Daedalus magpie. I had been planning to for a while. I've actually been on the list waiting to get one, and so I was really excited to go to the table, and I got to talk to the owners there, and who are lovely, and they helped me out, and yeah, so I think it's a good match for my Sparrow. My Sparrow is a very small wheel, which is great for portability and great for really low uptake and spinning lace weight singles and whatnot. But the Magpie is a bigger, more production spinning wheel. So I don't have it up here to show you because I'm already spinning downstairs with it. It was the first thing I did when I got home here was set up my Magpie so that I can work on that big spin that I've been doing for my mom for that sweater dress. So anyway, so that's already hard at work. I will post some pictures on Instagram, but it was the big purchase that I had planned, and I was excited to be able to get one. So there are two other things that I got that I had wanted last year when I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool and hadn't gotten. And actually this yarn I wanted in Rhinebeck when I was there like 18 months ago and did not get it. So I stopped by Jill Draper Makes Stuff, which is conveniently right near Kim Dye's Yarn if you are in Maryland Sheep and Wool. And I got Kingston, and I have wanted Kingston for a while. So this is her DK yarn. It is 100% Targhee wool. It's American wool. And it's spun up in, I think, a woolen style. It's a little bit tweedy. It is just so fantastic. I'm going to try and show you a couple of colors. So I originally planned on doing a sweater with this, but I've been on the fence about what sweater would be good and what sweater wouldn't be too warm for me and would work in my wardrobe well compared to other things that I have. And also the other thing that I was really torn about is that I absolutely love, this is the Elmendorf colorway. I love this, absolutely love this. You can't even tell if you're not in person how fantastic it is, in my opinion. But I also absolutely loved the Flatbush colorway. Come on, that's beautiful. It's more orangey than what you're seeing, but yeah, it's pretty good. And I also really loved Forsyth Park. I mean, that's also awesome, right? So that's got that kind of navy too, but then it also has a lot of yellow. It's like a nice optical green, basically. And the three of these together are lovely, but not a sweater for some reason for me. And when I started looking at different sweaters that I could use this for, I just started thinking they're all going to be too heavy. They're not going to be drapey enough because it's really, really squishy yarn. So when I was at her booth and I was talking to Jill Draper, who was so nice and so helpful, and her booth was absolutely a madhouse, like it often is. So I was talking to her and she said, she was like, oh, I've got some knitted samples over here. She showed me a sweater that was, you know, stockinette stitch. I don't remember it may have been one of her patterns, but it was a pullover and it was knitted, I think, in Flatbush, but just like one color, mostly stockinette stitch, straightforward, lovely sweater. And I felt it and I was like, yeah, like it feels nice, but it does feel, it's squishy. It does feel like a thicker, solid fabric. And I'm very much layering and drapey and multiple colors kind of a person. And I felt like I don't see myself wearing that enough. And I also, because I'm a hand spinner, I can't make this even, this perfect, this beautiful, but I can make other things, other yarns that look adjacent enough to this for a sweater. I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't the right thing for me. But she shared with me one of her shawls, which was using 4 different colors of the yarn, and it was just drapey and squishy. It was in garter stitch, which I normally, for something that's like a heavy DK, wasn't thinking that, I just wouldn't think of that necessarily, I guess. I wouldn't think it would be so drapey, but it was an open enough gauge. I don't know, it just was fantastic. So when I squished that and compared that to the sweater, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the answer. That way I get to use, not buy multiple sweater quantities, but also get to use a lot of the colors, because I just feel like the whole palette for Kingston is fantastic. So, so I really liked that shawl in terms of the feeling of it. It wasn't necessarily the pattern, although the pattern was lovely, but it was just, to me, I felt like, okay, it's going to be stripy, it's going to be garter stitch, it's going to be an open, an open gauge, so a bigger needle that'll work up fast too. I wanted to do 4 colors, so I had her help me. I already had these 3 because I'm obsessed with all 3 of these. There are a couple others I really like, but they just didn't stand out enough from these. And I said, what would be the 4th one? And she added this. And I think that's fantastic. I just think it goes really well. So, so I'm very excited about this. It is definitely next to skin soft for me. I absolutely love it. Targhee's a fine wool, but it just like fluffs up really well. So I'm very excited about this. I've wanted this yarn. I've thought about buying this yarn so many times, and then to actually bring it home, it made me really happy. So, yeah, so this is my Jill Draper Make Stuff Kingston. I am thinking I am going to make, I like to kind of design my own stuff where I can. I think I'm going to make a new shawl that's sort of like a cape-like, poncho-like shawl, garter stitch, some stripes, maybe some short rows, just like all the things that I like. I just want to have fun with this yarn. And I think if I'm designing it, then it's going to take me longer, and then it's going to be more unique and more fun for me. And I really want to enjoy this yarn. Because a lot of times when I buy commercial yarn, even from a, small business, I'm buying it because I want to make, this specific pattern, and it's going to be super simple, and it's a relatively fast thing to make a sweater out of a DK weight yarn. And I don't know, I just feel like this would be really fun since I've wanted this yarn for so long and I was so excited to get it. I feel like it should be like a celebration of this yarn, and that's what I'm going to do is try and design something that's like perfect for this yarn and for my wardrobe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll update you as we're going along. One last thing. This video is getting longer than I thought it was. I have never splurged so much on a mug, but I've been admiring for a while the Jennie the Potter mugs and her special Maryland show this year. The Maryland show mugs all have the Black Eyed Susans on them, which is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, she's obviously fabulous attention to detail, fabulous work. I love that when I'm drinking from this particular mug, I liked the shape of it, and it feels comfortable and whatnot, but I love that other people are going to see this, which is lovely, and that's what most people would probably have on a mug, and I get to see a black sheep, and that makes me really happy. So so I had to get one of the black sheep ones, and yeah, I just love, I think this is, I mean, every one of her mugs was lovely, but I think this is fantastic. And yeah, I'm excited to use it. I'm going to be super careful with it because it is a little bit of a splurge to get a nice handmade mug like that. And I mean, she's an artist. It's art. It's not just a mug. So, so I have to be incredibly careful because I do have a history of breaking mugs, but that's okay. Anyway, so I'm really excited about this. I do have another sheep mug that I use a lot that I have been able to be careful with. So I feel like I kind of set the stage for having this even fancier one, even more special one. I'm going to try and be careful with it, and I'm excited to have it. So yeah, I got a fair number of things. I know that. And I am very fortunate to be able to go to Maryland Sheep and Wool to volunteer my time and to shop and get exactly what I wanted to get. It was a really good experience this weekend, but it was also really crazy. It just gets so busy, and things are happening so fast, and yeah, there's not really ideal weather for these things at all. I mean, you can't plan around rain. So it was super rainy this time, which I still think for me worked out better than last year. It was just so hot and dry. And so anyway, I can't ask for the weather to be what I would want. It worked out just fine, but if you were there or if you missed it this year, it was just a very busy, very crowded, very wet, muddy event this year. And I'm so glad that there was still a good turnout of people. I know I can only speak for the fleece sale, but we were still selling a lot of fleeces. It was still busy. So I guess it's good that people turn out even when the weather's not perfect. For me, this is probably the only festival I'm going to go to this year. I doubt that I'll get to Rhinebeck or any of the smaller festivals that are more local to me. I don't know of anything right here in Delaware. If you do know of a fiber festival or anything like that in Delaware, let me know. But yeah, I don't know that I'll get to any other events at all this year. So I like to really, spend the whole weekend at Maryland Sheep and Wool instead of it being a quick trip for me. So I'm going to be working hard at my regular job and also trying to take it easy at night for the next week or two, because it's a really intense experience for me, and I definitely need some rest. So anyway, I'm excited to start swatching up my yarns, and I will share some pictures on Instagram as well. If you have any questions about any of these things, please reach out, and definitely check out like the yarns that I got. Jill Draper makes stuff. Kim Dye's yarn. They are both. They both have good websites and ship things, so you certainly did not miss out by not buying those at a festival. Even the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival collection by Kim Dye's Yarn, she is selling this week in her shop, so definitely check that out. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Like or subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in a week for a regular podcast episode, I think.